So I just got my airplane back from the annual inspection that was done at Sterling Aviation, and I am just dumbfounded and pissed, and I don't even know how to describe it at all the things that are wrong here. I mean, this is almost borderline intentionally screwed up. I'm just going to go in order of everything that I found so far. First thing here, this is the flap position indicator. There's no needle in there. I dropped it off, the needle was there, it's missing. They retensioned the flap cables during the inspection, and I don't know what they did. They took the needle off, stole it, threw it away, who knows. Second thing that I noticed, the instrument panel is basically just held in by cables and wires, I think. There might be one screw on the left side. It kind of feels like there's one holding the left side of it in. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. They forgot to put the hardware in something, who knows. Moving around to the back here, right there in the middle, that bracket there is what holds the emergency locator transmitter. For those that don't know, it's a box about a third the size of a shoebox, and it's bright orange. Yeah, where is that bright orange box? It's not there. They left it out. That's a major safety issue right there. How do you miss the lack of a bright orange box and wires just hanging out? I mean, that had to have been intentional. How did they not put it in? You know, somebody went and put this interior panel back up and didn't look? They didn't open their eyes? I don't know. I get it. Down here, carpet's not tucked under like it's supposed to be. Not a real huge issue, but come on guys, it's simple enough to do. Moving around to the outside, this is the air oil separator, so the crankcase can breathe when the engine's running. Yeah, this is not supposed to be like that. Those screw holes there, that's for a bracket that holds this right up here to the baffle. Gone. What, did they steal that part too or something? They take it off and they forget to put it back on. They lost it. I mean, what gives? They had to take the baffle off, I know, which is this piece right here, to install 4 new cylinders. So, I mean, they must have taken that bracket off then and they forgot it. I don't know. I don't get it. Down here, it's a little hard to see. Right here, that's the oil temperature probe. There's supposed to be safety wire to hold this on. The safety wire is not there. Without safety wire, this can unscrew in flight and dump all the engine oil out, causing an engine failure. Same thing with this little bulb deal right here. This is also holds back engine oil, and it's supposed to be safety wired on. There's no safety wire. You can see the little, well, I can see them. I don't know if the camera can see them, but the little hole right there, safety wire goes through that, wraps around. It keeps it from unscrewing. Again, it can come off in flight, causing the engine to fail. I am terrified to think about what they've screwed up inside these cylinders. I'm going to have them all taken off and checked just to make sure they were installed properly. And quite honestly, I don't think they were. The engine seems to run fine, but with everything else that they've screwed up or left off or whatever, this airplane is not safe to fly right now. If I continue to fly this airplane, it will get somebody killed. Probably me, possibly passenger, somebody on the ground. I don't know. I cannot fly this airplane. And look, beautiful, sunny day, calm winds. There's airplanes flying around up here today. I would love to be up in the air right now, but I can't because Sterling Aviation screwed up my airplane. And then they charged me thousands of dollars to do this too. I mean, seriously, thousands to not even put the instrument panel back in and to leave out the ELT. Now, I told them I wanted a new model ELT, the emergency locator transmitter. There's newer versions since that one. I told them I wanted to upgrade it. Here's another one too, the seat belts. I talked to them twice about putting in an upgraded seat belt. Now, at least they left these in. At least they didn't take these seat belts out and leave me with nothing. I mean, maybe I shouldn't complain, but I talked to them twice. I wanted seat belts with shoulder harnesses put in. no shoulder harnesses. You know, these are the same seat belts. You know, twice I told them I wanted shoulder harness seat belts put in, and you know, they didn't do that. I mean, what else have they screwed up that I can't see? Oh, hey, here's another one too. So the spar, the main structural component inside this wing, had some very mild corrosion on it. Surface corrosion only, but still, you know, it's not hard to fix. You have to take the fuel tanks out just to get to it. And the fuel tank is underneath this panel. This panel is held on by a bunch of these little screws. They told me they told me they took this panel out and they took the fuel tanks out to do it, but if you look at the screws here, I don't know how well these are showing up on the camera, but you look at the paint at the base of the screw, it's the same paint sealing these screws to the panel, basically showing that here's the front. I mean, these screws have not been removed, which means the panel covering this fuel tank has not been removed, which means the fuel tank has not been removed, which means they could not have gotten to the corrosion on the spars and fixed it like they charged me thousands of dollars to do. I mean, how? You know, how are these guys still in business? I've attempted to contact them to resolve this. They wanted to charge me for the parts that they removed from my airplane. They wanted to charge me, you know, to buy new parts for it. You know, that was their idea of a solution. They would give me free labor to reinstall the parts they forgot to install in the first place, and then they would charge me who knows how much for the new flap indicator, and other, you know, whatever it takes to hold the panel back on. I mean, how is that a solution, guys? You took my parts off my airplane and you want me to pay you to get them back? That's nonsense. Straight up nonsense. This is Sterling Aviation. This is a big company. I figured, you know, good. They probably had a good reputation. You know, there's jets and other large airplanes out in front of them. They're in Concord, California, for anybody who's wondering. You know, they're supposed to be professional aircraft mechanics, and I mean, what the hell? Like, see, that rubs down there. This piece is the engine mount. If that fails in flight because something was rubbing against it, it's all over. You know, your day's done, to put it extremely mildly. And this is going to cost me thousands to correct this, to check and make sure this engine isn't going to blow up on me in flight, and to make sure there aren't any other things that they've screwed up, left off. I don't get it. You know, and they want me to pay to correct their mistakes. So it's been about 8 months since I filmed that, and I'm going to give you a timeline of everything that's happened since then. So for starters, work was completed July 25th, 2017. And they sent me this email, and as you can see, the airplane's ready to go. So I was out of town at the time, couldn't pick the airplane up right away. I came out August 1st to pick the airplane up, and it was when I got home that I noticed the problem. 3 of the 4 panel mounts were missing, the flap indicator was missing, and so I contacted Sterling the following day when they opened. That was August 2nd. Their solution was to send one of their guys out on August 5th, which is a Saturday. Apparently they couldn't come out during the week, but he was out of the airplane for 3 hours. His solution was free labor. Cool. I have to pay for the parts. Why should I have to pay for my parts? These were on my airplane when I dropped them off. They are my parts. They were missing when I picked it up. Why should I have to buy them back? He was going to have to come back since he didn't have any of these parts on August 12th, next Saturday. Why can't you come out and fix my airplane right away? I shouldn't have to wait with all the thousands of dollars that I spent already to have it airworthy. Friday, August 11th, though, the day before, I decided I was going to come out with a mechanic friend of mine, and we were going to take a second look at everything and just see if there was anything else obvious. Well, that's when we found missing safety wire, air oil separator bracket was missing ELT, and we realized that also the wing had not been opened up, as Sterling said, to remove the minor corrosion that we saw on the wing spars. Sterling said they removed it. Yeah, this wing's never been opened up. At that point, that was too many mistakes. I put together the video you saw, and I immediately contacted the FAA and told them what was going on. I can't let that kind of thing go unchecked. If one of those parts vibrated out of the engine during flight, that would have been an engine failure. It would have been a loss of oil failure. No ELT on the airplane would have made the resulting crash even worse. I mean, that was just ridiculous. I contacted Sterling and then, or the FAA, and then I sent Sterling the following email. As you can see, I didn't say they weren't allowed to ever touch it again. I simply said they could not touch it until the FAA had a chance to come out and look at it. The FAA was a little busy. They did not get out until August 28th, so that's 17 days later. And it was at that time that the FAA inspector informed me, Michael Reyes, I think is how you say his last name, that there was a new person working in their office who he was training and would have come out to inspect the airplane, but he was the former head of maintenance at Sterling and therefore couldn't be on the case because, you know, conflict of interest. Well, now it's been 17 days. And that's more than enough time for somebody to make a little phone call to Sterling and, you know, give them a heads up as to what was coming. It took the FAA about 2 weeks to do their investigation. Seems perfectly reasonable to me, though I did have to call them to find out what was going on. They weren't in the mood for calling me. They did tell me they had talked to Sterling and that Michael Bruno, the owner of Sterling, was horrified at the list of discrepancies that I had found and wanted to do everything possible to make it right by me. Keep in mind, Sterling did not get back to me when I told them I was contacting the FAA about their mistakes. The last communication I had from them was a few days prior to that. They were confirming that one of the guys was going to be showing up on Saturday with the parts. The FAA asked me to wait a couple of days, and if Sterling didn't contact me within that time, to try to contact them. So about 2 days later, I called Sterling. I left a message with the receptionist. 2 days later, or 3 days later, whatever it was, I called Sterling again, left another message. Nothing. After that, I decided I was going to cancel my credit card payment to them for that last payment. Figured that would get their attention. They still did not contact me. The frustrating thing, too, with the FAA was that they said when I called them again to ask about getting a final report on this, they said that the only way I was going to get a final report was that if I filed a Freedom of Information Act request. I don't know, maybe that's the rules. I don't feel that I should have to jump through hoops to get a final report on a complaint that I made. I think I should be provided one. They went on to also say that Sterling had done nothing wrong this time, and in fact I was the only one that had committed any violation. The violation being flying an unairworthy aircraft. Yes, FARs do state, as Part 91, don't remember the whole number here, but it does state that as a pilot in command, I am solely responsible for the safe and legal operation of my aircraft. I have no problem with this. None whatsoever. I am fine with that. How am I supposed to know what's unairworthy when the last message that I had for Sterling at the point when I picked it up was that it was ready to go and there was no indication of there being anything wrong? Doesn't make much sense there. And yeah, that's why the FAA did not cite me in any way on that. So the next thing the FAA then went on to say is that they documented everything, including the missing ELT, in the work order. FARs do permit, if the ELT has been removed, it can be included in the work order or in the aircraft log. There's the aircraft log. There's no mention in the log about the missing ELT. Here's the invoice / work order as provided to me by Sterling, all 8 pages worth here. We're looking for item number 22 here on page 5. Discrepancies that were not repaired at customer request. The following items were not repaired at this time per owner request. Window and door seals. Engine oil pump will not hold prime after a long period of no running. Actually, with the correct oil in there, it does. Instead of running 100 weight, this airplane actually requires 2050. With 2050 in there, it does hold prime. Transponder Transponder is going to be a paperweight here in about 2 years anyway. I'm not going to spend money on that. I don't fly in controlled airspace. I don't need it. I told them not to worry about the transponder. I was considering selling the airplane, and that, you know, I'll let the person buying it decide if they want it fixed, left as is, whatever. You know, we can negotiate that one. Here's the email, by the way, of me saying that to Sterling. Nothing mentioned about the ELT. Missing flap indicators from the panel mounts. None of that stuff's mentioned. Moving on, we have the avionics portion, page 1. Just summary of charges here. Transponder certification and airport fees. The airport's got to get their whole $2.50. Final page here that I was provided, a handwritten, what do you want to call it, work order here, excuse me, all about the transponder, nothing else. Here it is, so you can see it. Notice there's plenty of space at the bottom there, so it's not like they ran out of room to write and had to give me another page. They had more than enough room to write in anything they wanted about the ELT. They did not. That is the work order as provided to me. Now, here is an additional page. This was provided to the FAA. Again, the FAA came out 17 days after I made the initial complaint. Form annual inspection on ELT, did not transmit, could not get customer approval for replacement. I told them twice over the phone, my exact words were that might as well get with the 21st century and put in a 406 megahertz ELT because, you know, the old ones just aren't well monitored anymore. I said that twice. The first time I said it was when I dropped the airplane off. Why they even bothered to test the ELT when I told them to replace it. So here we are. It is now April 7th, and I have not heard from Sterling since that email when they confirmed that they were going to be coming out on Saturday the second time around. Here's a letter now that Sterling sent to the credit card companies. I'll just go through this line by line with all the things I found, but you can read it too. First thing they say here was that I never gave them permission to replace the ELT. Yes, I did, twice as I already stated. Regulations do allow the aircraft to be flown for 90 days without an ELT. Yes, that is correct. The ELT was returned to me, they say, in a box. No, it was not. I never received my old ELT back. The aircraft was also not placarded as required. They said they provided me a copy of the work order. It was not done. No, they did not. They provided that to the FAA and to the credit card companies. This is the work order I had. 8 pages, not 9. It says the wings were opened as noted by the inspection. No, they were not. I already talked about that. Said customer would not allow them to work on, look at, or in any way touch the airplane. We've already seen the email where I said not until the FAA has had a chance to look at it. So the FAA found no airworthiness violations on Sterling's part. Like I said, there's a guy that works for the FAA who is the former head of maintenance at Sterling. I believe he tipped them off. They also say in this letter, aircraft was finished in the early part of July and not picked up till after hours at the end of July. No, the 25th of July is when they told me it was ready. That is not the beginning of July. It was only a few days later when I came by and picked it up. It was not sitting on their ramp without a control wheel lock installed for a month. It was sitting out there for several days without the control wheel lock installed because the ramp guy didn't know what he was doing. He also bent my tow bar wide open because he was trying to put it on the axle rather than on the tow lug. They say I called a couple of days later to complain. No, I called the following day. And then they say that I called and said no one could work on the aircraft. I did not call, I emailed. I've shown the email. And then they say, now here we are almost 7 months later and facts have not changed. So why wait until now? Yes, Sterling, why wait until now? Oh, yeah, well, you're still waiting. You haven't even contacted me yet. Why didn't you contact me the moment I said I was going to report you to the FAA? It says they were precluded the opportunity to provide warranty work. I've given you plenty of opportunities. I've called you. I should not have to call you. You should have called me. I did also write a letter to my congressman complaining about the FAA's conduct in this matter. Here's the letter to the congressman. It details everything, the timeline, sequence of events, and everything that was going on here. I have not heard the final report back yet. I have talked to one individual somewhere out of Arizona that did do the investigation. He says he can't find any proof. I believe him on that one, actually. It would essentially take wiretapping or getting into somebody's past phone calls, recordings if they were ever made, in order to have any proof that any of this happened. I mean, if that was the case, then why is there an additional avionics sheet on here that could have easily been combined onto one sheet, saved paper, and why is it on item 22 here that lists everything else, including the avionics items that were not worked on? Why doesn't that include the ELT? And unless I get lucky with a credit card company here, they're showing what the FAA said, that they did nothing wrong. The credit card company is going to believe that. What they don't know, the credit card company probably doesn't know or isn't aware of, is that when the FAA handles any kind of complaint, it's handled as a criminal investigation, not so much a civil investigation. The credit card issue here would be a civil thing. The difference, kind of think of the O.J. Simpson trial. O.J. was acquitted in the criminal part of it, but in the civil part was still fined for millions of dollars or whatever it was. So that's kind of the difference there. Here I am, still screwed out of thousands of dollars. I've got to go through and check all the work with all that large number of mistakes that were made. Airframe, engine, avionics. This is every different area. This is not one person working on the airplane and making a mistake on a Friday afternoon because they were in a rush. This is several people here. This is the ramp guy too making mistakes. Clearly something is wrong there at Sterling that needs to be addressed. I don't know, I'm the only one getting screwed in this whole thing here because I've paid thousands to get an unairworthy airplane. That's not the point of an annual inspection. The point is to get an airworthy airplane back. There's nothing in any communication that I received from Sterling that indicates that there was anything wrong with the airplane. Fair warning to anyone thinking of doing any business with Sterling. This is what you're in for. I'm just going to wrap this up with a few final thoughts here. I get it. I'm not some Wall Street high roller with a Cessna Citation Mustang. I'm a regular guy with a Cessna 150. I'm not the biggest paycheck they're going to see. I totally get that. But at what point does Sterling start taking their customer and their airplane seriously? Does it have to be a 172 or a Cherokee, or is it a dollar number? Do they only take jets seriously? I've got enough problems to deal with as it is right now. My wife's stationed overseas in Korea. I'm raising two boys solo here. I don't need Sterling adding to all the problems I've got to deal with already. I mean, they haven't even tried to make it right. If they just try, I'd work with them. They haven't made any effort here. I don't get it. It's not that hard. Pick up the phone. I'm sure you guys, you passed the FAA license test to get your mechanic's license somehow. I'm assuming you can figure out how to use the darn phone and call me. But no, they haven't even done that. Well, they got their money. What do they care? You're sure as hell not getting a repeat customer here, guys. It's just ridiculous.